my name is Albert Vernon. I'm a product manager at SingleStore, formerly known as MemSQL. And in this session, I'm going to introduce the SingleStore product, describe how it works, and discuss the terminology for the different components of the system. Before we begin, I'd like to review why our customers love SingleStore, and it's because of the 3 S's. The first S is speed. Because of its distributed architecture, query compilation, and massive parallelism, SingleStore often gives 10 times or more performance at a third of the cost compared to other database products. The second S is scale. It's easy to add more nodes to increase storage or computational capacity of your cluster, often with 1 or 2 commands. And the third S is SQL, which is the query language your developers already know. And SingleStore is wire protocol compatible with MySQL, so it's relatively easy to reuse existing applications and drivers. To start off, let me review the single server database management system architecture that you already know, which is the client-server model, where you have 1 or more client programs that connect to a server, submit SQL statements, and get results back as row sets. SingleStore is a distributed database management system, and from the point of view of the client programs, not much changes. The client programs connect to something called an aggregator, and they submit SQL statements and get results back. Behind the scenes, which is below the horizontal line in this chart, there are also leaf nodes in your cluster. The aggregator is responsible for receiving queries from the clients, and it acts as a proxy or a router, if you will. And it knows where among the leaf nodes the data to satisfy the query are located, so it contacts the leaf nodes as necessary, retrieves the data, and then the aggregator returns the results back to the client. The leaf nodes are the workhorses of your cluster. They are responsible for storing and processing the data. One of the questions in a distributed database system is what is being distributed and how. And in SingleStore, the unit of distribution is the database partition. And a database partition holds a subset of the rows of the tables of a database. In other words, a partition is a piece of a database, and that piece contains some of the rows of the tables for that particular database. In this example, there are 4 leaf nodes, and each leaf node is responsible for storing and processing the data of 4 database partitions. And the next question is, how do these data get distributed to those database partitions? And in SingleStore, when you create a table, you have the option of specifying 1 or more columns of that table to be the shard key. And the shard key is the mapping between a given row and the database partition that it gets stored in. So to set up this example, we have a table named foo that has 3 columns A, B, C, and on the left-hand side of the slide, we have designated column B as the shard key, so it's in green. And then in the upper right-hand corner of the slide, the client is running the SQL statement, insert into foo values 1, 2, 3, and the number 2 is highlighted green because that is the shard key value for that particular row. So the client submits this statement to the aggregator performs a calculation on that shard key value of 2, and the result of that calculation is that this particular row gets stored on the first partition of leaf 4. So to recap, the shard key determines where SingleStore stores a particular row. In this next example, we have a table called bar that has the same schema. And as before, the column B is the shard key. And so when the client inserts this statement, again, the shard key value is the number 2. The aggregator performs the calculation on that number 2. And as before, this row will be inserted into the first partition of leaf 4. So the point here is that rows with the same shard key value are stored in the same partition, even if the rows are in different tables. And this will have implications for join performance, which I'll describe in the query tuning session later on. If we go back to our original example table of foo, this time we're inserting the row with the values 4, 5, 6. The shard key value is 5, so it's in green. Again, the aggregator looks at that shard key value of 5, and this time the calculation determines that this row should be stored in the third partition of leaf 2. So the point here is that rows with different shard key values will probably be stored in different database partitions. When you pick a shard key for a table, one of the characteristics that you want to keep in mind is that the shard key should distribute the rows of that table uniformly across your database partitions. So if you don't pick a good shard key, then you can get a condition that is known as data skew. And data skew is what happens when a database partition is storing an unbalanced amount of data. So in this slide, the first partition of leaf 1 is exhibiting data skew. It's twice as large. That is to say, it's storing twice as many rows as the other database partitions for this database. And so therefore, if there is a query that has to read from all of the database partitions, leaf 1 has to do more work because it's reading twice as much data from one of its partitions, and it could slow the entire query down. So this is something to be mindful of when you choose your shard key for a table. In a distributed database system like SingleStore, you have to consider what happens if one of your nodes goes offline, either temporarily or permanently. And because leaf nodes in SingleStore are responsible for storing and processing data for database partitions, if a leaf node fails, then any query that needs to read or write the partitions that leaf node is responsible for, those queries will also fail. So in SingleStore, you have the option of enabling high availability mode. And when you enable HA mode, SingleStore will automatically separate your leaf nodes into two groups, availability group 1 and availability group 2. And the system will automatically, for each leaf node, pick a partner in the other availability group, and then from that point forward, each leaf node will exchange its data. It will back up its data, if you will, to its partner in the other group. And so as a consequence, if a leaf node fails, the aggregator will detect that failure, and then it will reroute traffic that originally was for that first leaf node to its partner. So now the partner is doing double duty. It's serving traffic for its original partitions, and now it's also serving traffic for what used to be its partner partitions. And then if the original leaf node comes back up, then the aggregator will detect that the leaf node has returned, and once the leaf node that has returned has resynchronized itself from its partner, in other words, once it's caught up what it missed while it was offline, then the aggregator will resume routing traffic to the original leaf node, and that all takes place automatically in the background. Now, when you enable HA, because it's storing 2 copies of all your data, you're now using twice the storage, either RAM or disk, but the benefit now is that if a leaf node fails, there's no data loss, and your cluster can continue operating. Now, every SingleStore cluster has to have at least one aggregator, and that aggregator is the master aggregator. And it's special because it can run any type of command or query. So the master aggregator can run DML, DDL, it can run CML, which is cluster manipulation language. So that means any administrative or super user type command like adding a leaf, removing a leaf, backing up a database, and so forth. The master aggregator, like we discussed in the previous slide, is responsible for leaf node failover. And the master aggregator is also the only aggregator where you can create and manipulate what are called reference tables. And I'll describe what reference tables are shortly. So any aggregator in a cluster that's not the master aggregator is a child aggregator, and you can have 0 or more of those. And child aggregators can only handle DML commands. So that's select, insert, update, delete. And the reasons why you might have child aggregators in a cluster, number one, is for failover purposes. So if your master aggregator fails, you as the system operator have the option to connect to one of your child aggregators and promote it so that it becomes the new master aggregator. And another reason to have child aggregators is for load balancing. So the rule of thumb here is if you're bothering to run HA for your leaf nodes, you should also have at least one child aggregator as well in your cluster. There are 4 types of tables in SingleStore. The main choice you have to make as a database designer is between Rowstore and Columnstore tables. With Rowstore tables, your rows are stored in RAM, which makes them excellent for workloads that are highly concurrent or more of an OLTP nature, so that's reading and writing small batches of rows. Columnstore, in contrast, your rows are stored on disk, and they are excellent for large tables, particularly if you're doing analytics, reporting, complex long-running queries, or aggregates. There are also temporary tables that are visible only to the current client session, and they disappear automatically when the client disconnects. Temporary tables can be Rowstore only. And lastly, there are reference tables, which are special in that an entire reference table is copied to every node in the cluster, both aggregators and leaves, so they use more space, but they can accelerate join queries. And reference tables can be Rowstore or Columnstore, your choice. To go into a little more detail about Columnstore tables, as I said before, with Columnstore tables, the data are stored on disk. More specifically, the values for each column are stored separately in what are called segment files. So if you have a column A, then there are segment files that only store values for that column A. Column B, there are files only for column B, and so forth. And that's one of the reasons why Columnstore tables can be so fast. For example, if you have a fact table that has 100 columns, but your query only refers to 3 out of those 100 columns, then the SingleStore engine only has to read segment files for those 3 columns, and it can ignore all of the other segment files for the other 97 columns. Another thing to note is that segment files are compressed with something kind of like run length encoding, and so that means less I/O when the engine has to read from disk. And there's also something called a clustered column store index, which when you create the table, you designate one or more columns to be this clustered column store index. And this determines the sort order of the values inside the segment files on disk. And clustered column store index is kind of a mouthful, so we at SingleStore sometimes call it the sort key. And that's not an official term. You won't see it in our documentation, but if you hear one of us say sort key, we really mean clustered column store index. So the sort key, as I said, determines the order of values within segments. And the SingleStore engine also maintains metadata about each segment, including the minimum and the maximum value for that particular segment. Now, if your where clause and your sort key are the same, then the engine is smart enough that because it knows the min and the max for each segment, it can skip over segment files that are not relevant to that particular where clause. And segment files by default contain values for 1 million rows, and so skipping over these segments, skipping over these million values, can produce a massive acceleration for your queries against Columnstore tables, and I'll discuss this more in the query tuning session. As I mentioned before, reference tables are created and modified on the master aggregator, and any data that you load into a reference table or any changes that you make propagate automatically in the background to every other node in the cluster. And so for that reason, reference tables use more space than an ordinary distributed table, and so therefore reference tables should be small and slowly changing, and their purpose is to accelerate joins, which I'll discuss in the query tuning session. In addition to the SingleStore server software, there is also SingleStore Tools, which is a suite of utilities to manage, monitor, and interact with your cluster. And the SingleStore tools are composed of 4 packages that still have the old MemSQL name. The first is MemSQL Toolbox, which you would use as a database administrator or cluster administrator to deploy, configure, and administer your cluster. The next one is MemSQL Studio, which you would use as a database developer to run, monitor, and profile your queries from within your web browser. There's also MemSQL Client, which runs queries from the command line. And lastly, there's MemSQL Replicate, which is a special tool for importing data from Oracle into SingleStore. If you need to get help with SingleStore, there is singlestore.com/support, and you can open a support ticket with our technical support team at any time. There's docs.singlestore.com, which is our online documentation, which is comprehensive and searchable, and our technical writers are adding new content to it regularly. There is training.singlestore.com, where you can take self-paced online administrator and developer training classes. And there's also singlestore.com/forum, which is our community forum where users can ask questions and post answers with each other. And then finally, there are additional videos about our product, like this one on YouTube. And then finally, we advise avoiding the MemSQL book on Amazon because it is a known scam. Thanks very much.